Welcome to the Hair, Babes and Business podcast. My name is Jess and I am your host. I have over 14 years of experience in the hair industry and have owned and successfully fully booked out 2 of my own hair salons. And now I'm taking a step back from being behind the chair to be here with you instead, teaching you all of the skills, knowledge and advice that I've learned along the way. I want to teach you everything that I've learned so that you can learn from my mistakes and don't have to learn these lessons the hard way. Every week I bring out new episodes for you where I tackle industry issues, talk about what's trending and what's not, share business insight, bring on different guest speakers with different levels and areas of expertise within the industry, and figure out ways that we can make our businesses successful and profitable. I'm so excited you've decided to join me today. Let's get into it. Hello guys and welcome back to the Hair Babes and Business podcast. My name is Jess and I am your host. Today I am bringing you a very special episode that I am calling Beyond the Chair. And the reason why I wanted to put this episode together for you is because one of my lovely listeners reached out and told me that she's currently having a bit of issues with her hands. She's been getting really sore thumbs and really sore hands, and she's just a bit worried that it might end up affecting her hairdressing career and she might have to move on and go beyond the chair. And that's why I really just wanted to bring you today's episode. Obviously, we all love this industry and we never enter it with the plan of leaving. But what happens if that choice is taken out of our hands? As hairdressers, we are unfortunately at risk of so many things failing within our bodies. And obviously the worst one, but also the most common one, is having issues with our hands. Carpal tunnel is one of the most common conditions that hairdressers face. And carpal tunnel can lead to needing to have surgery. It can be very painful. Sometimes you need to wear braces or have different kinds of pain relief to try and help with the pain. And so obviously if you have something like this happen, it can be very limiting or completely eliminate you from being able to do hairdressing at all. So obviously that can be very stressful. But unfortunately in this career there are lots of other things that can kind of happen that can make it really hard for you to work behind the chair. I remember when I first started going to physio with my back problems, my physiotherapist told me that the 2 most common careers that she saw coming into her physio studio were hairdressers and nurses, because it's just so taxing on our bodies. So back pain, hip pain, knee pain and problems with our feet are also very common within our industry. Guys, I cannot stress this enough. It's so important to make sure that you take care of your feet. And I know that we all want to be trendy and, wear all the fashion, but I really do just think it's so important to make sure that you do protect your feet and wear really supportive shoes. I cannot stress that enough. I just think wearing good shoes is so important, and making sure that you do take care of your back and your hips and your knees and all those sorts of things. Like, it's important to get massages. It's important to make sure that you're doing some kind of stretching, whether it's yoga or Pilates, and really just making sure that you are holding your form properly when you're working, that you're really taking care of your posture and keeping note of all these things to make sure that you really are taking care of your body. Guys, I cannot even tell you, when I decided to do reformer Pilates for like 6 months, my body was the strongest it had ever been, and having that extra strength within my muscles just made me so much more aware of my posture, and I really was in so much less pain. I think that's really important. If you can do something like Pilates or reformer Pilates or yoga to kind of try and help build up the strength and those muscles, that's a really great way to make sure that you are taking care of your body. Now, something else that can be really restricting within the hair industry is that sometimes, and it is a bit more common than you would think, and that is hairdressers building up a resistance to the color. And I just think this is really important to talk about too, because I know that so many people have had things happen like this and they've had to step away from their hairdressing role, and I think this is just really important to discuss. And guys, this is just something I think is important to look into. There are so many beautiful natural low tox color brands out there now, and I do think this is something that's really worth looking into. I swapped over from a well-known brand to a very natural brand, and then I went for something that was a little bit kind of more in the middle. It was still very well known, but still a low tox brand. And making the change really did just make the biggest difference. And I think it is important. Like, we are working with chemicals all day, every day. And I think if we can get a healthier option and a more low tox option, it's just going to help all of us in the long run. It's going to help us personally. It's going to be a more pleasant experience for our clients. So I think that's just something that's worth looking into. And unfortunately, there are some health conditions that can come along with the hairdressing role. And I think it's just important to take note of that and make sure that if you do have a better option that you can use, it's important to try and use something that's going to be better for you in the long run. Now, there are many other things that could prevent you from working behind the chair, from getting pregnant, having babies, having an injury, all sorts of different things that might make you need to step away from your role behind the chair for a little bit. But I really just wanted to cover more the body aches and pains or conditions within the body, and also the color resistance thing, because I think those are two of the most common things that I've heard of. And so I kind of just want to make those ones the most well known to you. But obviously there are a whole bunch of reasons that for at any point in time, you might need to step away from being behind the chair. Now, having a condition or a situation where you have to leave your role from behind the chair to go beyond the chair can feel really earth-shattering, and I just want to acknowledge that before we even go into today's episode. That obviously today I can share a bunch of different ideas with you and a bunch of different solutions, but it's not going to be hairdressing, and so that can be really upsetting and feel really horrible. But I just wanted to say that if this is something that you're really passionate about, and it's something that you do kind of want to keep the toe dipped in the industry, but not necessarily be doing something that's so hard on your body, or for whatever reason your situation has changed, you can't do it anymore, there is a bunch of different things that you can do, and so I wanted to share those with you today. So to start off with, I wanted to talk about becoming an educator. Now, depending on which route you want to take would depend on like what further study you would need to do. If you wanted to become an educator in like the TAFE system or the private academies, you need to complete your certificate in training and assessments. Now, obviously this is going to be different for listeners all around the world, and I know the particular listener who inquired about this is not from Australia, so it would need to be whatever the equivalent is for the country that you're in. But in Australia, you need a certificate in training and education. Now, that would be to become an educator. Like I said, our Australian version is TAFE, which is where you do your apprenticeship and you do your assessments, and your education is at TAFE. So to become a TAFE educator, you would need to get that certificate. Now, that also is the same for if you are to go to a private academy. So I know in Adelaide, we have a private academy called Clip Joint, and it's basically the same sort of setup, but it's a privately run education system. So again, you would need that certificate in training and assessment. However, there are a lot of education roles that don't actually require you to have a further certificate as such, but it's more about the experience that you have in the area that you want to do the education. So say, for example, you're really good at doing balayage, so you want to teach people how to do balayage, or you're really good at doing men's cutting, so you want to teach people how to do men's cutting. Another way that you can go about education is by doing it privately. So for example, in Australia, a lot of the people who sell stock will have education rooms where you can go and run a class, and you can teach a class of people your skills. Or you can advertise yourself completely separately, or you could have it where people will hire you to come to their salon and you teach the education within the salon, and you teach the group of people there and then on the day. So that's another way you can go about doing education. And of course, you can always teach education online. So you can do that a bunch of different ways. You can do that through recording videos, educational videos that people can purchase and have your video to watch and learn at their own pace. You can do it via lives where you teach people live how to do things, or you could do like Zoom calls where you do like one-on-one sessions with people and you educate them through the Zoom call. Now, again, depending on what the level is that's causing you to no longer be behind the chair, if you are completely not able to do any hairdressing, this might not work for you. But if you can do a bit of hairdressing, you just can't be doing it all day, every day, I think this would work really, really well for you, especially if you have an area of expertise that you really want to focus on and that's something you're really passionate about teaching. I think that's a really great way to go about doing some education and still being in the hairdressing realm and still doing hairdressing without doing it every day. It's not going to be so taxing on your body. Now, another option could be to become a full-time stylist. So doing event styling or particularly wedding styling, this can work really well if you can still do a little bit of hairdressing but just can't do it all day every day, or if you cannot use the products anymore but you can still do hairdressing. Now, sometimes you can make what you would make in an entire week in the salon just by doing one wedding. So if you could get to a point where you were booked every weekend to do a wedding, you would absolutely be able to still keep doing hairdressing and still make a really, really good profitable business out of it. But it would be far less taxing on your body if it was something that you were only doing once a week. And if you were unable to use the products, it would be something that you could do without using products all day, every day as well. There is really good money in weddings and there's not as much outlay. And also you wouldn't even necessarily have to have a salon because it's something that you usually are going and doing at people's venues. So that could be a really good way to keep your toe in the hairdressing realm without going too crazy on your body or having to use products or anything like that too. Now, again, this is only going to work if you're at that point where you don't have to completely step away from hairdressing. Now, option number 3 is to become a hair rep or a brand ambassador. Now, this can be a little bit tricky to get into, but I think this would also be a really great way to keep your foot in the door, but really take a big step back from doing actual hair. Now, I know the way that you get into these jobs can be really different depending on where you are and the company that you're trying to get into. But usually I would say to go to an individual brand's website and just click to see if they have job opportunities listed on their website. Usually if they have something coming up, they will have it listed on their website and you can really look into like what you need to do to be able to get that job and what's required of you. Usually they just want you to have a really good knowledge of the brand because they will end up teaching you the rest of what they want you to know. But usually it's just having a really good knowledge and love for the brand. So I would definitely say if you're looking to become a rep or a brand ambassador, it's probably important to pick something that you already love and you already work with, because obviously you're going to need to know the product to be able to represent it, but the company's also going to want you to know it well so that you are doing the brand a good service and not a disjustice. It's really important that you pick a brand that you love and that you can get behind and that you can really endorse, because obviously you want to be doing the brand justice. So that's really important. I think this is a really important thing where it's like just making sure that you get your name out there and just connecting with the right people too. I think if you can talk to the people who you buy your products from and just be like, this is something I'm really interested in, it's something that I'm looking into, and just like kind of giving them your name and number and being like, if you hear of any opportunities, I would love for you to pass my name and number on to people, or if you hear of any opportunities, if you could pass on the information to me so that I could look into it further. I think that's a really good way to go about it, because sometimes these opportunities are a bit more harder to find. It's not like you can just go onto a job search and find them. It's more of like a behind the scenes kind of job application. So if you know the right people and you've kind of given your information out to the right people, it can make it a lot easier to be able to get your foot in that door. So that's something that I would really look into as well. I've also noticed that a lot of brand ambassadors or reps for particular brands are really getting involved in social media now. And I think if there's a brand that you're interested in working with, it wouldn't hurt to actually reach out on social media to some people who are already repping or already doing some brand ambassador work and just being like, how did you get into this? Like, what did you do? What did you look for? What did you kind of study and learn to be able to get this role? Just so that you've got a bit of an idea what that company is looking for. And if you can do some of that behind the scenes work before the jobs come up, it's just going to make you an even better applicant for that job as well. Now, another really great job if you're looking to work beyond the chair but still keep in the hairdressing realm is to become a stock supplier. So the shops where you go and buy all of your stock and your products and all those sorts of things, to work in those shops would be a really great way to keep your foot in the door without actually having to do hair. And what's really cool about this is that you're going to learn about like every different brand. You're going to get so much more knowledge, and obviously the more knowledge you have, the better, because people do ask technical questions to their stock providers. So if you can have, you know, the answers to questions that people might have, like if they have a question about like, will this product do this particular thing, or I would really like to create this, what would you recommend I use to create this particular look or do this particular technical service? Having the information is so important. So this is a really good way to still stay in the hairdressing realm, still be able to have hairdresser talk and give advice and share your wisdom and share your knowledge without actually having to do hair. I think this is a great way to stay in the community community without actually having to do hair. Now, the final category that I want to talk about is kind of like a main category with a bunch of subcategories, and that's what I want to talk about next. So that's becoming an entrepreneur. Now, there is so many different categories that fall under this, but I'm just going to list a couple to give you some ideas and kind of get you thinking outside the square. So obviously, this is something that I've done. I've gone down the path of educating and coaching, and I think this is a really great way to be able to share the knowledge that you have with people and still keep in the hairdressing realm without actually doing hair. When I broke my foot and my ankle, I really had to take a big step back from being behind the chair, and so this has just worked out so well for me because I am still a part of the industry. I am just as passionate doing this as I was doing hair, and it's such a great way to keep in the industry and keep involved in what's going on, but not having that physical strain on your body. So this is something that's really cool to do, and I think we need more coaches because there's not as many out there as there could be. It's definitely not an oversaturated market, and I think everyone has something to share and everyone has their own group of people that are really going to resonate with the way they teach things and the way they share things. So I think this is something that's really cool to get into, and it's something that you can be so passionate about and really share so much with people who are trying to build their own businesses or build their own careers in the industry. Now, again, another thing that obviously I do is to host a podcast. I think podcasts are a really great way to share information with people, and I think that this is really great too because especially if you're in physical pain, you could wake up one day and be in pain and be like, I'm not doing anything today, but then in a couple of days time you wake up feeling great and you can smash out like 4 podcasts in one day. So that's a really good way to work around what you're currently dealing with within your body or with whatever reason that's holding you back from being able to work behind the chair. It's just giving you that freedom and flexibility to work around what's going on in your life at the time. So podcasts are a great way to do that. Another way that I think that you could really help hairdressers if you wanted to go into that entrepreneurial online space would be to help hairdressers with their social media. I think this is something that is going to rapidly increase over the next coming years because hairdressers are burnt out and social media is literally a job all on its own. So having hairdressing and social media, the pressures of having to do both, I think if people can hire a social media manager or someone who's going to help them with their social media, I think this is really a path that a lot of businesses and a lot of hairdressers are going to go down because it does cause a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. It is a lot of pressure. Like I said, it honestly is like a full-time job to be able to run your social media well. So I think if this is something that you can do well and you're passionate about and you can share your wisdom and knowledge with other people, I think this would be a great way to stay in the hairdressing business without actually doing hairdressing. And I just think things like showing hairdressers how to take really beautiful photos of their work, what kind of lighting you should use, how to get the clients to pose, how to schedule posts, how to create posts that aren't just hair, how to market yourself on social media, all of those sorts of things. I just think there's going to be a huge space for that. So if that's something that you're interested in and something that you can do, I think that would be a wonderful way to market yourself and create a business within the hairdressing industry that's not actually hairdressing. Now, another way to enter the entrepreneurial world of hairdressing is to create YouTube or TikTok videos. Now, there's so many different ways you can do that. You can either target the hairdresser by teaching education to the hairdresser, or you can target the client by teaching hair skills and hair education to the client. Both of those are great ways to stay in the industry and still do hair without actually being a hairdresser. And there's so many different things you could do. Teaching people the skills of hairdressing, teaching the skills of being in a hairdressing career, teaching the skills of running a business, doing product reviews, teaching people how to use their hot tools, teaching people how to do haircuts, whatever it is. I think there's just a huge space for that online, and we've seen it time and time and time again. So many people going viral, teaching their skills online through YouTube and TikTok in the hairdressing realm. I think that's just endless opportunity there, and I think that is a great way to be able to market yourself online. Again, this is hard because it's a business that you really have to build over time, but once that takes off, you are set, and that's a great way to run a business online. And the final thing that I want to talk about today, obviously doing doing this Hair Babes in Business role, I've got to speak to so many people who are doing just really innovative things for the industry. And I just want to talk about a couple of those things. For example, if you listen to the last podcast episode that I brought out, I spoke to Indy and Geraldo, who own Studio 85. And what they're doing is they've created a system where people who are in the wedding industry doing hair and makeup have this system that like automates all their emails, automates all the follow-up, basically all the admin side of things, the things that we don't really want to do. It really automates everything. So it helps you stay really consistent within your business. Your clients are so happy because they're getting responses really quickly and everything's being taken care of. Everything comes across really professionally, and it just saves you as the stylist or the makeup artist so much time. It means you can go and do the wedding, come home afterwards when you're absolutely exhausted. You can go sit on the couch, watch Netflix and have some snacks. You're not having to worry about, oh, I need to answer this email and I need to send this message. It just is a really great system to take the stress away. And another person in the industry that I've spoken to is Laura O'Hagan. Her and I did a podcast episode together last year, and she was telling about how she actually has an accounting background, and what she does now is she teaches hairdressers how to run the business side of things or the money side of things and how to have profits and budgets and make sure that you are creating a really profitable business. Now, these things are great ways to stay in the industry and still work with hairdressers and do really cool things in the industry without actually doing hair. And I just think that's really cool. And there's an endless world of opportunity out there that you could create something that no one's ever created before, or you could see the way that someone's doing something and think like, I could probably do a different version of that I think would be really helpful. It's just endless opportunity, and it's like thinking outside the square to see if you can come up with something that's really new or really different. And at the end of the day, creating a good business is identifying problems within the industry and coming up with solutions to them. If you can think about a pain point that you had when you had your own salon or your own business, or when you were a hairdresser, that really was like, if someone could have come in and waved a magic wand over whatever that was and come up with a solution and fix that thing so you didn't have to worry about it anymore, if you can do that, you are never going to have a problem with having a successful business. If you can identify people's problems, tell them how you're going to fix it for them, and make it seem worthwhile for them to invest in, then you're laughing. That's what you need to do. You need to be a problem solver. You need to show people how you're going to fix their problems. So I just think it's really important to think about that. Like, identify sore spots within the industry. Identify things that people are having as a common problem and find a way to fix it and make that your business idea. If you can do that, you will have no problems at all being successful. Well, guys, I hope that you found today's episode super helpful. I'm loving doing this 2 podcasts a week, having the interviews on a Monday and then the educational ones on the Thursday. I hope that you guys are absolutely loving it too. I would love to hear what you're thinking. If you did love today's episode, please give me a follow or a subscribe on YouTube or Spotify, wherever you're listening. And please give the episode a like or a really good review, because that really just helps me grow my business as well. And if you haven't already, come join me on TikTok and Instagram. I would love to see you over there as well for daily inspiration. Now, guys, I don't really like to talk about things super personal on here. I rather share my advice and knowledge and wisdom within the industry. That's really what I'm here to do. But there has been a bit of an elephant in the room, and I just want to address it and clear things up right here, right now. Obviously, I've been talking a lot about my fiance Jason and the fact that we were supposed to be getting married this year. Guys, I just have to be so honest with you. Jason's mental health has been really not great. He's been having a really difficult time. And at this time, we've put everything on hold and we've actually taken a break from our relationship because Jason just really needs to work on himself right now. I have so much love for Jason, and I just want to see him get better and see him heal. I don't know what the future holds for us right now, but I just want to make it very clear that no one's done anything nasty to each other. It's just a really difficult thing with mental health, and I just want to support him in getting better and getting the help help that he needs. So I just want to clear that up and say, like, obviously we're not getting married. Everything's been put on hold at the moment. And I'm just kind of entering single girl life and working on myself and just working on my business and doing all the things that I really love. I just want to thank everyone who has reached out and just been like, I feel like something's up. Are you okay? Like, I appreciate your support so much. And I just want to say thank you for just being such a beautiful community. I'm so proud of what we've created here because it is amazing. Guys, I really just do think that 2025 is going to be such a transformational year for so many of us. And I'm so proud of all of us for rallying together and sharing our experiences and just building this community. And I'm so excited to see what each and every one of you achieves this year. And I just want to thank you so much for being here and for your support as well. It really does mean the world to me. And yeah, I have been a little bit less present online because I have just been dealing with the things going on in my own personal life, but I'm feeling really motivated and really inspired, and I have so much exciting stuff to share with you. So thank you for bearing with me while I've been going through this bit of a time, but we're deep diving back in, we're getting stuck in, and this year is going to be the year. You guys, I'm so excited. It's going to be the year for me, and it's going to be the year for you too. And I just can't wait to watch all of us have so much success in our businesses and just see the way that everything plays out for all of us. So again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your support. I'm so grateful to each and every one of you. Thank you for spending your Thursday with me. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I look very forward to talking to you again next Monday. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great rest of your week. Mwah.